This is the Bolder Than Most podcast, where we talk with those making bold moves in business, real estate, and life. I'm your host, Trey Jacobs. Thank you for being here. Let's jump right in. Welcome back to the Bolder Than Most podcast. I'm your host, Trey Jacobs, and today we got Will Mussack.
That's right.
Of Black Cell Capital. Mr. Will, how you doing, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate being here. I'm excited. Excited to do it. It's going to create some inspiration and get me going, you know?
I love it, man. Black Cell Capital. I see you got the pirate flag behind you. What's up with the pirate flag? Are you guys just out there to pillage and do whatever pirates do?
I would say we're more like Robin Hood, but we just like the pirate atmosphere. Also, a big part of it comes from the story and like the life of the Laffittes, which are brothers Pierre and Jean Lafitte of New Orleans. They were smugglers. They called them Benetarians back in the day, but they were basically pirates of the Gulf Coast from New Orleans, and they were basically contracted by the U.S. to fight for the Battle of New Orleans against the English. So like there were pirates that came in and fought for the States, and then they're like everything was squashed clean after they helped and they won. And they're just a huge influence on New Orleans, which, you know, on me, that's where I'm from. And then with all my friends here, like we love the water, we love sailing, and it just kind of went hand in hand. And it's like, but we don't steal, we don't pillage, we don't do any of that stuff. We love Pirates of the Caribbean, and we just kind of live with that. I guess more so the wannabe lifestyle of a pirate. I guess.
Yeah.
Roughing in on a boat, go to a deserted island, and figure it out when we get there type of mentality.
How long have you lived in New Orleans?
I was born here. I was born in Slidell, Louisiana. It was about 20 minutes north of New Orleans, and I've born and raised here. Lived in Utah went to school in Mississippi, about an hour north of here. Played soccer there, William Carey University. Then moved to Utah for about 4 or 5 years up until COVID, and that was really cool. And then I moved back here down in Slidell, and kind of been hanging out here, just living, you know, being a Gulf Coast gypsy, as some might like to say.
Gulf Coast. I've never heard that before. You know so much about the history of New Orleans. Is that like ingrained in you guys in school or something?
Yeah, actually, we're so proud to be from New Orleans, to be around this culture, to this Cajun culture. I mean, we're the only state that doesn't have counties. We have parishes. And I think also that's like really cool and unique, but then also from like a legality side in the real estate world, there's a Napoleonic code, and Louisiana is different from any other state. And that's a reason why a lot of people don't even look here. But that aside, growing up, I mean, I remember taking like a whole semester's worth of history class that was just dedicated to the French Quarter and understanding the streets, because we were going to go on a field trip there. So they want us to know where we were and walk around and see the things and know what street we're on. And also the history of Mardi Gras and how that all goes, and the connection to the Carnival in Brazil. So it's like, and for me, I think it comes a lot from like my dad. It was very, like, he's from Guatemala, but he loves New Orleans, loved going out to the festivals, eating the food and being a part of it, and like being like going to the French Quarter, you know, and the Garden District, city parks, and just feeling the island of New Orleans, which that's essentially what it is.
Yeah, I see the videos of New Orleans and the parades and the festivals, and there's always like kids dancing, doing the craziest. I don't know what it's called. Is that really what it's like out there?
Oh, they got like balanced music. I mean, yeah, I will say yes, because there's so many different, like, you know, that's what we're known for, is the music, the food, the culture, the dancing. You get your NOLA brass bands, your big brass bands, which I think that's my favorite to go, like, just kind of go move around to. You get people moving in strange ways, but it's really fun, high energy. Then you have like your bounce music, and you know, twerking is the whole thing, and it's just kind of like it's just like a weird bounce. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I think I know what the videos you're talking about, and it might be like a little bit ratchet. That's the silly thing about what gets shown to the world, is the ratchet parts of New Orleans. We you know, all those really beautiful parts that people probably don't see is what's like that's another layer, right? So
Well, I mean,
that's
that's
where
true of
I,
any place, right?
right. That's where I thrive, is in that
Yeah.
layer of like, I don't know, elegant and like with a little bit of class, but then also with a little bit of pirate ruggedness and, you know,
It's a perfect blend. It's a
yeah.
perfect blend. So, you came out here to Dallas recently for a Australian rules football game. Game? Do you call them games? Is it a
Yeah.
match? What is it?
Yeah. I'll say game. I'll say both. I come from a soccer
Yeah.
background, so I'll say match or game. It's the same thing.
How did you get introduced to that, man? And for the people who don't know what it is, because I still don't fully understand what it is, can you break down what Australian rules football is?
Yeah, so Australian rules football, also known as Aussie rules, also referred to as AFL, which is basically the NFL in Australia. Um, and it's the most exciting game that people have not heard of. And if you have heard of it, then they know how exciting it is and how chaotic it is. But I often describe it as a blend of rugby, soccer, and American football with sprinkles of many other sports. And the way the game is played is very similar to soccer, um, or basketball or hockey, where it's free flowing. The ball can move in any direction, and also the object of the game is to score a goal or a basket. Um, so that's essentially what it is. It's pretty chaotic. I asked one of my Australian friends. I said, "What's uh, Aussie rules like?" And he said, rugby is controlled chaos, and Aussie rules is chaotic chaos. And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I come from a soccer background, so I played soccer all my life, played at high levels, played in college, tried to play a little bit afterwards in the amateur, semi-professionalist level. And then soccer got stale, and I was kind of just going to be like that athlete who stops playing sports, and I don't know, I'm not sure where my life was going. And then I got introduced to Australian rules through some friends that were neighbors with the guy who started Team Baton Rouge. Jumped on, loved it because it was learning something new. I had to like untrain myself from all the things I learned from soccer throughout the years to learn how to play this new game, and the skills and the techniques. And it was great. Went to the national tournament, played with the Sacramento Suns, and I just saw the community that was there. It was all the cities in the country were in this one place in LA, just playing footy and just having a great time. And I was scoring goals and having a good time. I was the only person from Louisiana there, playing with people from Sacramento, and they took me in like family, and it was awesome. Um, and then I saw the highest level, and I was like, I could play there. So then I made it a goal for myself to want to play with the national team and just be a competitive player in this. I saw like I don't know, it like awoke in my dormant competitor athlete, just overall competitor really. And it kind of changed my life for the better because now it's like I'm hungrier, and it forced me to get the most fit I ever been.
Yeah.
There's a quote from one of the players that says, "Playing Aussie rules is like running a marathon while having a boxing match." Well, I trained and ran a marathon basically to be fit enough to play with the national team, and I was able to do all those things. I ran a marathon that year, played with the national team against Canada in Milwaukee, which we won, and we partied around the streets of Milwaukee with the cup and were drinking beer from the cup, and that was a whole experience. Um,
That's
and then I
dope, bro.
played with the North Texas Devils last year at nationals. We performed really well. No big accolades, but we, as a team, we did really well. The story. Um, and then now we're building a team in New Orleans called the Bayou Brawlers. Shout out the Bayou Brawlers. It's
Hell yeah.
me and another buddy who's played high level, and we both found ourselves in the same area, and we're like, let's play ball. Let's do this. So we're leading it from as a players made for the community. Is kind of what the team's all about. Made by players for the community. And we both want to compete at high levels, so we're leading this team by example, by setting very high standards, being the most fit. And as of right now, between us and the Baton Rouge Tigers, we are the superior team in less than 5 months.
Hey guys, my company, Paige Capital Group, is actively sourcing and buying multifamily deals. If you're looking to put your money to work, gain some tax efficiencies, and grow your portfolio while we do all the heavy lifting, go to pagecapitalgroup.com/invest. That's Paige, Paige, capitalgroup.com/invest. And someone from our team will reach out. Now, back to the show. Oh yeah, bro. Congratulations. That's really great. I didn't realize that you've only been running that team for 5 months. So that's
Yeah,
really cool. I can tell you that
it's
when I was walking, because I was at the tournament, so I was walking through. I was like, "Where's Will? Where's Will?" And man, I must have been called mate like 6 times in like 30 seconds. I was like, "Wow, these
yeah,
guys are they look really mean, but they're so nice." It's like,
super nice off the field, super nice on the field, but it's like one of those things, the whistle blows and it's game
game
time,
time. Let's go.
and then and you might hit somebody, you might tackle somebody a little bit too hard, and grab somebody by the jersey and let them know that that wasn't cool. But then after the game, you buy each other a beer and it's all good.
Yeah, that's dope, man. So all right. So you're in New Orleans, where we'll just say it's not as real estate friendly. You're doing Australian rules football, but now you're also with Black Cell Capital, hunting for boutique hotels. Like, how did you make that, or how were you introduced into the real estate world?
Yeah, for me, I guess my true introduction is when my dad passed away. Well, let me back up. My grandfather passed away, and then we were going to be inheriting a lot of his real estate, which there was real estate it was land in North Carolina. It was properties in Guatemala, where he lived, and then a month later, my dad passed away. So all that kind of came to me and my mom and my sisters. And at the time, I was 22, playing college sports, and that's all I wanted to do. So I didn't really like care to understand. So I didn't really understand. And then, so that's when I was like introduced, but it was like, there was so much going on. And the thought of like international real estate, like I couldn't comprehend. Um, and as time's gone on, I was kind of like, it was weird times, healing and just kind of living life and whatnot. And then now being introduced to MFM, Multifamily Mindset, where I work as a producer on the podcast and help with the social media and YouTube channel and whatnot, I was introduced to multifamily, which introduced me to commercial real estate. And even then, I was like so naive and didn't really understand. Like, you said multifamily, like, what's that? And they're like, it's apartments. So I'm like, why don't you just call it apartments? And now it's like, it's opened my world up. And like my teammates will say is that we've been building this team for almost a year now. Black Sail Capital. We've had the brand. We've been talking about it, thinking about it, visualizing it, and we're like, okay, we're going to get a multifamily. That's what we know, right? Um, but it's not really what we wanted. And we always kind of talked about wanting to do experiences and all these beautiful places, Costa Rica, Hawaii, Guatemala, New Orleans, wherever it is. It's beautiful. Even if it's nothing, we're going to make it beautiful. But anyways, um, and then we started listening to Rich Summers, and he started talking about boutique hotels, and that just kind of like, he spelled it out for us, and it was like, this is what I do. And we're like, oh, that's it. That's what we want to do. So that's how we kind of landed on boutique hotels.
Yeah, love Rich. I love your teams. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to Jackson, Nico, and Strat. Um,
Huge shout outs.
yeah, they're. How do you describe them? How would you describe your team? I
Oh,
know how I would describe them, but I'm curious. How do you describe them?
how do I describe them? Man, it's a good question. And like in our first podcast with each other, we took time to pick a word that describes each of us, or each of them. Sorry. So um, for Strat, I'll go with individuals and maybe a team definition. But for Strat, he's a brother to me. I've been knowing him for half my life. We share a tattoo. That's a
Oh
funny
wait, you
story. And
do?
it's
What
yeah,
does it
yeah.
say?
It's not. It's just it's a trident. So
Oh, sick! I didn't. Wow, you guys really are brothers.
yeah.
That's deep.
So I don't know if we want to get into that story. It's a funny one, but we share with another buddy of ours, Carson. Shout out Carson with Blackwater Voyages, who's a captain of a sailboat of a business that he and I started um, over in Pensacola, Florida. And yeah, we just at the time, me, Stratton, and Carson were all making money off the water. I think it goes back to our pirate and sailing um, endeavors. Like that was our income was off the water, right? So we wanted to get it something that commemorated the ocean and all that kind of stuff. So we were like, oh, let's get a wave or an anchor, and we're like, no, that's lame. Everyone's got that. And we're like, what about a trident? And we're like, yes. So
It's cool,
that's what
man.
we landed on. I got it here. Strat's got his here. My brother buddy got it on his neck.
Honestly, I need better friends. I need friends to get matching tattoos with, man. That's cool.
Just come sailing with us and earn your trident. It's kind of like a gang.
The only way out is in a box.
No, you got to walk the plank. We'll take you out to sea.
Oh man, not coming back. I can swim. I believe it or not. I am a strong swimmer. So
I believe it.
just so you guys know, I'm honorable mention or the 6th man of the year when it comes to Black Cell Capital. So
yeah, he is.
serious.
He is. He's on the
it's
ship.
definitely.
We got a bump for you.
Oh yeah, it's got to be extra long though, because
Yeah.
I'm not short.
But anyways, go back to what I was saying. But yeah, Strat's a brother to me. We've been running shoulder to shoulder for a long time. And it just doesn't matter where he is, where I am. We've started and failed at plenty of businesses, and just kind of just adventured together, and just been living life. He's a brother.
Yeah.
Jackson, the word I use for him is stoic. Since I've been knowing Jackson, we've been both really into stoicism, and we've had multiple conversations based on that. And I think that's kind of like who he is. He's a very stoic individual, and that's the word I chose for him. And it's been great to get to know Jackson and for him to be now a brother as well. And then Nico,
Stoicism. Hold on, I had to look this up just to make sure I had this right. So it's the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. That's deep.
It is deep. And I think people's original perception after hearing that is like no emotion, right? And it's like, yeah, at a surface level, it is, you don't show emotion, regarding the situation, but it's kind of like, I think it's no emotion it's emotion with composure. No matter what happens to you in life, a lot of bad things are going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen within the next half hour. It could be tragic, but how are you going to react? Can you be composed in that moment? And I think that's why stoicism has emerged into the limelight today because of social media. But it really does help people. It's helped me through some really difficult times to just I don't know, to really think and compose myself in any scenario, to where I don't let that inner child take over and react out of emotion, really.
Yeah.
And then once I've composed about it, then okay, let's think about this rationally. Let's react to it rationally and come to and find the solution in the best way. I think shout out James McCabe, says it best, in a business situation where if there's a fire, a lot of people are like, who started the fire? But it's like, first task needs to be, let's put out the fire. And then we can identify that. So it's kind of the same thing in life. It's got something tragic, something crazy is happening. It's like, well, relax for a second. Let's look at this logically and then figure it out.
It's funny because we're going to see Inside Out 2 today, and it's all about emotions and how they interact with each other. So I like that definition of stoicism.
And for Nico, she's also a sister because she married my brother Strat. And for her is ethereal. She is just so vibrant and just such an amazing human, and just such a good person. I think anyone who does know Nico totally knows what I'm saying.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't, she'll make you feel that. She'll make you feel loved and just honored and just all the things. She just makes the earth a much more brighter place the second you hear from her.
Ethereal. These are so both of these words, right? I've heard them and loosely knew what they meant. But this one, or ethereal, right? It says extremely delicate and light in a way that seems too perfect for this world, similar to delicate, exquisite. I wouldn't say dainty because I don't think she's dainty, but elegant, graceful, lovely. And there's another one. refined. And I think that, oh no, and creative poetic imagination, that right there, I think that sums up a lot of what Nico is.
Yeah, I would say dainty needs to be taken off of that. Like like you said,
Yeah, I don't think
scratch that
that's
out. That's not Nico at all. But I mean, everything else you said, I mean, that's if there's one word to kind of to describe all of that, I would say that's a good
ethereal.
word to choose. So, but that's my
Nice.
team. And then for as a team, man, the cohesion and the love and the compassion that we have for each other, and then also like the resilience. There's love and compassion is like the glue on the inside that we just feel for each other. But then there's the get out and grind and go do it. Like it's very much. I come from a background of sports, and this is like one of the best teams I've been a part of because it is like, hey, we need to go score, go get us a goal. So it's like, okay, cool, I'll go out there and do it. They push you to do it. You know, we let each other know when someone's slacking. Because we're only as good as our weakest player, right? So
Right.
regardless of the situation, we keep each other accountable that way. So, and not just for work, right? Like a lot of this stuff for work is, or for business. Like, yeah, we want to get into business with each other, but it's also like in life. We hold each other accountable through our personal growth, which I think is very important because, as you know, in this business, it's a long-term business. You know,
Yeah.
so you got to make sure you like the people you're going to be long-term business with. And so that's very good that we keep each other accountable and healthy. And the second that someone, I wake up, or we hop on a call and I feel groggy. I'm like, man, I'm sore. I just don't feel great today. And they're like, well, what is it? What did you eat? Did you work out? Or like, have you eaten yet? And those are the first questions before we even jump into the, hey, what's the market research in Costa Rica like? It's,
Yeah.
are you okay?
Real quick, guys, if you're enjoying this show and want to help us grow, share, shoot us a 5-star rating, and follow the show on Apple or Spotify. My goal is to continue to grow and get bigger and bigger guests on the show to reach more like-minded real estate investors and help everyone be more bold and build more wealth. Now, back to the show. I like that. I like that. And these people, you're right. You're going to spend a lot of time with them. So it's good that you guys connected through something else other than business before deciding to connect in business. I do want to switch gears real quick, though. You said that you were a producer for a lot of the MFM stuff, right? And I kind of want to get some insights from you, right? And it's all through raising money through content or marketing through content. So anything that you could leave the listeners with that you've learned on your journey so far that could maybe help them do a little bit better with any of that?
Yeah, definitely. I think very simple that everyone hears all the time is consistency. Um, it's just being consistent. And I think to go a little bit deeper with that is to remember that complete is better than perfect.
Ooh, that's a bar. I like that.
Yeah, that one's a great one. I heard that one from Nick Bear, who's the CEO of Bear Performance Nutrition. Uh, Huge inspiration within the fitness world. But anyways, he said that one day, and I was just like, oh yeah, you're right. Like regardless of what it is, because he's a content creator, but also a ultra marathoner, all the things. So for him, training is a huge thing. You just have to complete it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Same thing with the content. Just complete it. Like this podcast that we're doing today, we're on it because one, you need a podcast. I want to help produce my personal brand, and like however this is done, it's done. We did it. And there's going to be a lot of the people like, man, I want to be on a podcast. I want to start a podcast. I want to do that, but you just don't ever do it because it's not perfect enough, right? You sit there and I don't have the right camera. I don't have this. And also, you said it best on the Black Cedars call one day when you talked about podcasts. It's like all you need to do a podcast is this, right? Your phone. So do it. Record the conversation with someone, and and just produce it. So that would be my overall tip to the listeners.
How does that change when you start thinking about marketing specifically in the real estate space, or does it at all?
I don't think it changes at all. I just think like one, you complete it, you get better at it, you learn from it, and you learn what works, you learn what doesn't work. But you only learn that stuff from data, right? And that's
Yeah.
the great thing about content is, man, it's based on data. If we put out this
Yeah.
podcast today and say it got 100 listens, awesome. Why didn't it get 200 listens? It's a big,
Oh, I
it's
like
like,
I
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Why
It's
didn't it
just
get
like,
200?
right. It's like, and then if you did do it, then that's it's 100% increase, or that 50%, 100%,
100% because it doubled,
100%. Yeah, because then
right?
you look at it that way, those numbers, yeah.
That's a
Um,
that's damn good. So
yeah,
you're on a podcast right now. You have a podcast with Black Cell Capital, and you produce 4 podcasts. Can you
yeah.
speak to like the numbers, the goals, how all of that is outlined, or just your experience in general through all these different interactions or touch points with podcasting in general?
Yeah, so mine really started with MFM, Multifamily Mindset. We're producing those podcasts, the Aloha Fridays, the Growth Cast, um, and all that, and also through the transition of what it is today. But at first, it was just like producing them all the time. It was just, man, there's so much content. There's so many Aloha Fridays and the daily drips
Oh,
from
let
Dallas.
me
Like,
let me stop you right there. When you say producing, just so we're on the same page, what does that mean?
um, just putting it out there, I guess, from a high level.
So
Like out,
taking the raw footage and formulating it and then making sure it gets out to where it needs to be.
yeah. So like how it goes, it's you film it, Strat films it, Strat edits it, he sends it to me, and I do the outlines, Strat films it, edits it, sends it to me. I ensure that it gets out.
Gotcha.
While
Okay.
Jaden, the content director, oversees it happening. So it's a team effort for sure.
Okay. Nice. Sorry, I cut you off there.
It's okay. I forgot what I was saying though.
Just podcasting in general,
Oh,
numbers, goals.
yeah, yeah. So I think for MFM, it was, the numbers for that, because it's my W-2, they're very important, right? Because now there's KPIs. That's what we're striving to achieve, and we're trying to, and also numbers. Like we got to put a podcast out every Tuesday and Thursday and Wednesday. Okay, then we got to make sure that we get enough content. We got to make sure that our hosts, shout outs, Cindy McGuire and Zach Rucker, are, you know, having enough guests to produce podcasts. We're collaborating to see where else we can go. Do we use solo podcasts with them, giving tips or tricks and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that we're doing it? And do we need to change the game? Like, what's not working? We're only getting 100 views per podcast. Okay, what's not working? We got to change it up. So then we'll change it up. And as far as like for our podcast, By the Wave, for us, it's complete is better than perfect. We were just striving to get podcasts out because we want to be in that 1%, which was what, 20 episodes, right?
That's what I hear. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can be in that 1%, that's just awesome. And we'll just keep producing, keep having awesome conversations, which is what I'm finding as a host there. Like I just interviewed my girlfriend, Christina Geiger, shout out her, and about her small business and her entrepreneur journey. And it was just really fun. I got like 6 guests lined up. I just got to go do it. Right. Um,
Nice.
So I'm really excited to go have this conversation. I think from my setup is like I can travel with mine. I like having a mobile office and even podcast studio. It's really cool how it's developing. So for the By the Wave podcast, it's complete is better than perfect. We're just producing. And then for this
Yeah.
one, being on your podcast, which again, thank you, is to keep building my personal brand and getting myself out there and speaking about what I'm working on and all the great
Well,
stuff.
let's talk about personal brand. Well, who are you?
Man. Will Mussack. I'm a boutique hotel investor. I'm a media producer. I'm a elite athlete and an adventurer and just a liver of life and a lover of life.
There
It's
you go.
essentially what it is. Yeah. To its
Man.
core. And I just, I like go back to the athlete part, man. I love to be active and I love kicking balls more so than anything else. Soccer, Aussie rules, rugby. I'll kick a basketball.
I'm glad you specified which type of balls, because I was a little worried there.
Yeah.
uh, let's tie 2 things together, because before we started recording, we were talking about your mobile office and biking through New Orleans to different locations to work, and now we're talking about the personal brand and putting yourself out there more. Let's tie those 2 together, right? Like, how are you, who you are, and what you do on a daily, and what you'd like to do on a daily, tying that back to your personal brand?
Yeah. So what I do on the daily is, my W-2. For right now is what comes first. I ensure that all of those tasks and all those obligations are completed and ready to go, and tied up with a nice pretty bow and sent off to where it needs to be. And the most beautiful part about that, and what I love most, is that I am able to do that on the road. Like, I can take my computer, I can go work at the coffee shop down the street, I can go work, I can get on a boat and go work, as long as my hotspot's working. Or within my role there, I do a lot of writing. So then I don't really need anything other than a pen and paper, if, depending um, um, how old school you want to go, how primitive we want to go. But like, I can do that, and I really love that. But um, for me, it's like part of my personal brand is like, now it's like being remote, and I want to start um, filming that opportunity. So like, I did a little bit of filming, but taking my bicycle and riding around through New Orleans, visiting all these places, the boutique hotels there, and just working that way, and really showcasing that as my personal brand.
Yeah.
Love to be.
Yeah.
I don't like to be stationary. I can only be in this room for so long. Love it, but also like, I find myself out of it more than in it. But I'm taking my office with me.
I think it's super cool. There's this girl that I've been seeing a lot on social media lately. She has like these sleeve tattoos, blonde hair, and what she does is in houses that I think she's flipping or maybe just working on, she walks around and she explains everything inside of the house in pretty decent detail. It'd be pretty cool. Like, you already love New Orleans, you know so much about the history, and through your bike rides, if you just added commentary of the history of certain buildings that you're stopping at or riding by, I think that would be super dope, man. You should explore that. Just because it sounds like something that would align with your personal brand.
Yeah, and that's essentially what it is, right? That's what I'm gearing myself towards. One, I had to get my bike fixed up, so I got that, did that, and then so now I'm starting it. And the great thing about New Orleans is that a lot of our economy is based on our tourism and our events and our festivals. I mean, it's a party town. So there's a lot of stuff happening here. There's a lot of hotels. The hotel and tourism industry is a driving factor here. So that gives me the opportunity of being a boutique hotel investor to visit the various locations. So like yesterday, I went to go visit the Celestine down in the French Quarter on Toulouse Street. It's I don't know how many units. I think it's like 10 to 15 units or so, but it's brand new and it's just beautiful. So yesterday I was on a phone call practicing our pitch deck with the Black Sail team, sitting in the courtyard in the middle of the French Quarter, 2 blocks away from Jackson Square, St. Louis Cathedral, and all that kind of stuff. A block away, not even a block, half a block away from Bourbon Street, and I'm having a very important meeting. Like, we're practicing our pitch deck, and it's like, for me, like, I get excitement out of that. Or on a sailboat. There's been times where I'm on a sailboat and I get to work. So like, I just get excited about moving while working.
It's dope, man. I wish I had that flexibility. I do. And you should enjoy it while you still do too, man. It's dope.
Yeah. So
What
I'm
is the
very like,
oh, go
I was gonna
ahead.
say, yeah, very, very honored and privileged to do that. I think my lifestyle is like, as far as like responsibilities, I have a dog, and most of the times he'll come with me. So that's about it.
Really?
Yeah.
He rides on the bike with you?
No, I wish he could. He's a Siberian Husky. He's 80
Oh.
pounds. I did do it when he was a puppy. I threw him in a backpack and I went for a ride, and eventually he just jumped out of the backpack. So I was like, all right, well, this doesn't work. I did in Utah. He used to pull me on my skateboard,
No way.
yeah. I had a harness for him, and we just go cruising around.
That's so
Now
cool.
he's lazy.
Big lazy. I got a Great Dane. She's a Pyrenees Great Dane mix, and she's like 100 and probably 20 pounds now, maybe 130. And I can't bring her anywhere, man. I don't even like putting her in my car. She's so damn big. Like, oh man. Well, what does the perfect life look like for you?
I think a perfect life is. I feel like I'm living it right now, with the ability to be mobile. I don't ever want to be constrained to four walls, cubicle, or a screen that says, no, you have to be here in order to do this. And right now, I feel like I'm living that perfect life, and I'm so grateful for it. To add on to it, to make it even more perfect, is to not have those financial stresses throughout the day of like,
I hear that.
I'm going to use James McCabe again. I mean, he says right now, like, how do you read a menu? Do you read it from left to right or from right to left, right? And that being like, do you look at the price first before you look at the item or what? So there's been times where I catch myself. I mean, even after hearing him say that, like, I want to get out of that mindset of being like, okay, how much is that? $50 for a steak? Not today, you know? And I want to be able to get to a point where I'm just like, nah, I want that, and I want this, and I want that. I'll just get it with no question. It's just like, so to have that flexibility with finances would make it very perfect, or the ability to go on various adventure trips I get invited on. And for example, I got invited to go on a rafting trip in Idaho for a week. But I just don't have it doesn't work right now. And I just wanted to say, like, it could work, but it just can't. So I'm like, I want to say yes so bad, but it's going to leave me. If I do that, then something else is going to fall. So the perfect life is to be able to do all those things when I want and just experience life with no stress behind.
Yeah, man. I love that. I love that. Well, man, I want to give you a chance now. I know you have a meetup in Slidell. You have the podcast. You know, shout out whatever you're working on and how the people can how they can find you.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. It's Will Mussack. That's Willmussack. I'm active on there. And give us a listen on the By the Wave podcast. Give Black Sail a follow. You get a lot of inspiration there. If you're looking to invest in boutique hotels or want to learn more about them, if you want to learn more about New Orleans, you want to come to New Orleans, let me know. We'll get it set up. This is how you can find me, man.
Man.
I'll find you a bicycle. We can go ride around the city together. You know, or we'll get a pedicab and I'll put you on the back and I'll do the pedaling. Um,
That's more my speed.
Dude, let's go find it. I'll do it. But yeah,
Uh,
give us a follow. If I would love to have anyone come down to our meetup. I'm doing a real estate entrepreneur meetup. It's interesting how it's evolving. It's turning into a more entrepreneur meetup and creating a community in my local community in Slidell, which is a smaller town. It's a suburb to New Orleans, but we're creating a community that's focused on something that's different. And I say different because here it's we like to celebrate in Louisiana, and usually celebration comes with our fantastic food, which is usually fried and cooked in oils and butters and all. It's delicious, right? But it's not the healthiest. And then usually it's followed by drinking and copious amounts, and it's a good time, but it's also not healthy. So, and what we're building is a healthier community here, which is something that has never been done before, really. But the health conscious, the health and wellness wave is coming here, and I love being a part of it because now we are in the growth aspect. That's the people that we're finding around us and that we're surrounding ourselves with to make bigger, better things, no matter what their industry is, whether it be a bed and breakfast or a yoga studio or the sandwich shop down the street. It's like that's kind of what we're building here, and it's amazing. So anybody who wants to get involved with those kind of things, I would love to hear from you.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Before we go, man, any last wait, hold on. Before we walk the plank, any last words?
I don't know. I think we have to leave it there. Trying to think if there's anything that I've been reading. I've been reading this book about Jean and Pierre Lafitte. Yeah, I would really say just be your most authentic and genuine self. Uh, okay, here's a great way. So the book of Jean Lafitte. Jean Lafitte he helped with the Battle of New Orleans, and Andrew Jackson invited him to a ball after they won, and one of the generals was talking to Jean Lafitte, and he's a famed pirate, and the general was like, well, who are you? What's your name? And then John Lafitte added, I'm Lafitte, the pirate. You know, and he was like, oh, right, right. And know exactly who you are. That's who his brand was. That's who he was. He doubled down on it. And now half the city's named after him 200 years later, right? This flag behind me, that's the Lafitte Trading Company. Like that's off of their name, the Lafitte.
Really? No
Right.
way.
Like
Wow.
I was riding on the Lafitte Greenway yesterday. Like it doesn't go away. So for him to be his most genuine and authentic self, I've been taking lessons into that. So I urge every one of you to be your most genuine and authentic self, no matter what. Unapologetically yourself.
That's sick, bro. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with me, bro. I really appreciate it. To the listeners, thank you guys for being here. Follow Will on all his socials, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
My guy.